to Terpsichore. This is our program of women composers for the ages. In Greek mythology, Terpsichore is the goddess of music and dance, one of the 9 muses. She is usually portrayed playing the lyre. We are grateful, first of all, to Julian Pape, our executive director and founder. We are also grateful to lifelong Montclair, and of course to First Lutheran Church for providing this lovely venue. Before we begin, Darrell Lancaster, one of our musicians, has a few words to say about one of our members who has recently passed.
One of our beloved musicians, Ed Black, passed away recently. We would like to dedicate this performance to Ed. Ed Black spent his entire career teaching music and inspiring generation after generation to love the gift of music. He also played horn and violin professionally with many area orchestras. I worked closely with Ed on 2 wonderful programs we developed for Montclair Early Music. The first collaboration was an exploration into the works of 16th century Dutch painter Peter Bruegel the Elder and a contemporary of his, music publisher and composer Tilman Susato. My background is in art, so Ed and I were able to spend long hours eating sushi and looking at paintings and the geopolitical history of the time and linking them with the vast repertoire of Susato. Ed not only knew the entire body of Susato's work, but would fill me in on the role of the Spanish Inquisition, the naval battles in Italy, and the riots between Spain and France, which influenced events at the time and subsequently Bruegel's paintings. He knew way more than I did, and I was the one with the degree in art. I asked him, Ed, how do you know all this? And he replied, well, my late wife always thought of herself as a librarian of sorts. And when she passed away, she left me with about 3,000 volumes. I've read them all. So I speak for all of us when I say that his knowledge, his patience, his humor, and his tremendous musical skill will be missed by all of us. Ed, this one is for you.
Thank you, Darrell. That was lovely. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everybody to turn off the volume of your cell phones. I'd like to advise everybody that the restrooms are located outside to my left or right. There are also additional restrooms downstairs. I need you to know that there will be a brief intermission. The key word there is brief, midway through the program. I'd like to introduce to you our new executive director, Ms. Jackie Ross, and Ms. Ross will tell us all about the raffle. Come on.
Thanks. I don't have to go. I have a very loud voice. I'm also a singer. My name is Jackie Ross, and I'm very happy to be the new executive director of Montclair Early Music. So welcome, everybody. This is a great crowd. In fact, so great that we ran out of programs and sing-along sheets. So if you do not have a program and a sing-along sheet, even if you don't want a sing-along sheet, please raise your hand and I will give you some. I also have, we're trying to build our mailing list, and in order to incentivize you to join our mailing list, we have this fabulous raffle prize. So if you do agree to fill out the coupon, you will be qualified to participate in this raffle. So you might get this. It's a wonderful waterproof Bluetooth speaker, great for the beach. I had one last year with a friend, and they are really a lot of fun. So anyway, enjoy the show. It won't take up any more time. And if you are missing a program and a sing-along sheet and a raffle card, I will come back and see you. So I can figure that out. Okay, thanks, Maureen.
Divine love overflows into everything, raised high, highest from the depths to surpass constellations, and tender, most tender toward all creation, such that it bestows the kiss of peace on the highest king. The beautiful poem you just heard was written by Hildegard de Bingen in the 12th century. Hildegard was a German abbess active as a writer, a composer, a philosopher, and even a medical practitioner. She described music as the means of recapturing the original joy and beauty of paradise. There are more surviving chants by Hildegard than by any other composer from the entire Middle Ages. Hildegard was a true anomaly of the medieval period, a time when males ruled the church. Regardless, she was known as a visionary who was invited to lead and advise. Although the medieval church was strictly guarded by rules, she bent them into new forms of musical expression. Quite a free thinker, she once stated that woman may be made from man, but no man can be made without a woman. Our next piece was also written by a nun. Vittoria Aliotti, who lived in Italy in the 1600s. In Italy, as in most countries, women had limited roles outside of the home. Paradoxically, surrendering individual freedom to life within a convent allowed more freedom of expression. Hers was the first book of sacred music by a woman to appear in print. Besides writing music, she became a conductor for the convent and trained other women to play a variety of instruments. We will perform her Porce la Vaga. The words translate to, "Now that lovely dawn, riding a fiery chariot, appears everywhere with Latona's sun, and shows her flaxen hair to the Alps and to the nearby countryside. With sweet tones he plays his well-tuned lyre, so that wandering spirits, listening intently to the harmony that lifts and sends our souls heavenward. See if you can hear the word painting in the music of the dawn rising." actually originated in Italy. The madrigal is a song sung in parts, often of unrequited love. Maddalena Casulana, a contemporary of Vittoria Aliotti, composed many madrigals. In the dedication to her first book of madrigals, she wrote, "I want to show the world as much as I can, in this profession of music, the vain error of men that they alone possess the gifts of intellect and artistry, and that such gifts are never given to women." We will play two of her madrigals for you. Come fra verde erbette is about a little bird wrapped in a green herb who cannot fly, just as the lover is imprisoned by his love. As a lament, the words are beautiful, and you will hear how the music reflects them. O night, O sky, O seas, O shores, O mountains, I have often heard you summon death. O valleys, O forests, O woods, O rivers, O sources, you give me life, my store of faith. O lean wild beasts that with hungry faces go wandering in joyful destiny, witness my hard accents since hearing my lament.
Oh,
Probably the most famous woman musician in Europe during the late Renaissance was Francesca Guccini. She served the Medici court in Florence as a teacher, singer, and composer, and by 1614 was the court's most highly paid musician. Guccini was a master of dramatic harmonic surprise, focusing on harmony rather than counterpoint favored by her contemporary Montclair. She composed the first opera written by a woman. Incidentally, it was among the first operas, period. Pretty big deal, but today, hardly anyone besides scholars have even ever heard of her. We will play for you a delightful piece from one of her operas. The tenor recorder will play the part of the tenor singer in the opera. Aria del Pastore, a song of the shepherd. Imagine the birds singing as the shepherd also watches his sheep. It is truly amazing that these women from the late Renaissance were able to compose and publish their works in male-dominated societies. Another woman from the 19th century Brazil, Francisca Gonzaga, also overcame the challenges of being a composer and musician. She composed her first piece at age 11, was forced into an arranged marriage where she was unable to pursue her music interests. When she divorced her husband, her father declared her dead. She was determined to follow her passion for music, and by the end of her life, she had composed music for 77 theater plays and was the author of about 2,000 compositions. Always breaking barriers, she was very active for social change, involved in movements for the abolition of slavery and for women's suffrage. We will play her Ballada 1884 for you. Julia Niebergall, an African-American early 20th century composer from Indiana, began supporting herself after a divorce by playing the piano in movie theaters and gymnasiums. She did well enough to be one of the first women in town to buy her own car and a house. Her songs continued to be played around the world. She was passionate about breaking down barriers between classical music and jazz. She is a woman after our own heart, as we are doing the same thing. We will play her Hoosier Rag, which became famous around the world. Listen for the unexpected harmonies and rhythms. Traveling back in time to the early Baroque era, we introduce you to Lenora Duarte, who besides needing to overcome the barriers presented by being a woman, also had to overcome religious prejudices. Born in 1610 in Antwerp, Belgium, to a family of Jewish conversos who had immigrated from Portugal to seek religious freedom, they acted outwardly as Catholics while secretly maintaining their Jewish faith and practices. While there was more freedom for Jews in Antwerp in the minds of many Roman Catholic churchmen, the conversos were still identified as Jews, partly because they remained within the Jewish communities in the cities, and partly because their occupations, merchants, doctors, tailors, had been monopolized by the Spanish Jewish people. Because she was seen not only as a woman, but also as a Jew, she could not receive commissions for the church or the court. Her composition, Sinfonia II, written originally for strings, is a dazzling showcase of Duarte's creativity and technical prowess. We will play an arrangement for recorders. At this time, I'd like to introduce one of our board members, Richard Koch, who would like to say a few words. Then we will take a brief intermission.
Hi, everybody. I'm Richard Koch. I'm a board member and the treasurer of the organization. My claim to artistic fame is photography, but I love classical music, so here I am. Thank you for coming. This show was free for everybody here because of the generosity of the lifelong Montclair group, the senior citizens, and the First Lutheran Church. And I'm here to make an appeal to those who can make a contribution to our effort to bring a wide variety of music to Montclair as an institution. We have taken our Baroque beginning into jazz, the Hoosiers. We can do an awful lot more with your help. We have played early American music, African composers, recently at the library, early Christmas music, and some jazz. We have a very active children's program, as you can see, that have played beautifully, and they're very young, and we have given them free lessons on the recorder. So we need your help. For those who can, we would ask you to give what you can, either at the door or at our website. You can scan part of the program and get to the donation page. And it would really be appreciated. And you can make this contribution that, as you can see, has brought us from 5 or 6 years ago to Julianne's inspiration to you sitting here today. So we urge you to do what you can, and thank you very much for coming.
Ruth Chu, who's new with for this concert, and she has a lot of experience, and we're very pleased to have her. Ruth, would you stand up? And I'd like to introduce our pastor, who's volunteered to be our narrator, and that is Pastor Marguerite Oji.
In England, during the Renaissance, we meet composer Jane Pickering, who also overcame the conventions of a male society and composed beautiful music for the lute. The piece you are about to hear, La Rossignol, was at first thought to be a folk song, but after examination, the similarity to other of Pickering's compositions made it quite clear that La Rossignol is in fact a Jane Pickering composition. It will be played on guitar by Marty Brownstein and Sandy Nelson. Shout, shout up with your song, cry with the wind, for the dawn is breaking. These are the rousing words from Ethel Smythe's composition, The March of the Women. Ethel Smythe was a British composer, writer, and suffragette who lived from 1858 until 1944. She wrote operas and concert pieces and was criticized for writing music that was too masculine. Smythe was an active member of the women's suffrage movement. In 1910, Smythe was inspired to write The March of the Women after attending a suffragette rally in London. The following year, while in prison, a choir of suffragettes sang the March for the Women outside the prison. The prisoners inside were moved to join in. The song quickly became a rallying cry for the women's suffrage movement. Although March for the Women is not one of her finest works, it's a great example of how music can be used to inspire change. Avi Weber from our Recorder Kids program will play the solo. example of using words and their lyricism to inspire change can be found in the contemporary poet, National Youth Poet Laureate, Amanda Gorman. Inspired to write poetry by her childhood auditory processing disorder and speech impediment, making her hypersensitive to sound, Gorman generated international acclaim with her composition for Biden's presidential inauguration ceremony, "The Hill We Climb." To quote the last stanza of her in This Place, an American lyric, "There's a place where this poem dwells. It is here, it is now, in the yellow song of dawn's bell, where we write an American lyric, where we are just beginning to tell. Poetry and music go hand in hand. The madrigals you heard were based on poetry. Consuelo Velázquez, a 20th century Mexican concert composer, took her inspiration from her father, a poet. Her song Bésame Mucho was composed when she was only 16 years old. The song was created before Consuelo received her first love kiss. The song was made famous in 1944 by Nat King Cole, who made one of the first adaptations of the song in English. Translated into more than 20 languages, the song has become an icon of popular music. Maya Herrera Shimakawa from our Recorder Kids program will solo on tenor recorder. Please join Javier Torres in singing.
So Maya will first play, and then Javier will sing, and then when I turn around, you can join us, and you'll sing the whole thing, and you'll notice that at the very end, it's repeated 3 times, and at the very last line, perderte, después. When you get to des, I'm going to hold it, and then pues. I'm going to hold it to end it.
Today, according to Zippia.com, only 13.2% of composers in the United States are women. Only 5% of the pieces scheduled in classical music concerts are by women. So you are lucky today to hear the music of some of these wonderful composers. Our next two pieces are by contemporary women composers. Marty Brownstein will play Melissa by Canadian composer Dale Cavanaugh, a piece that she composed for her daughter when Melissa was 3 years old. for recorders. She was inspired by this Wordsworth quotation, "The memory of what has been and nevermore will be." The pleasing consonance of this sweetly flowing piece illustrates the human tendency to color memories with only the good feelings. I think we can all relate to that. She is perhaps best remembered for her popular arrangements of African American spirituals and frequent collaborations with the poet Langston Hughes. She arranged the famous song, "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands." Kamaya Sales from our Recorder Kids program will solo with Marty Brownstein and company. Please join in and sing with us.